Hey Bible lovers, I'm Tim Nichols, and I'm here to bring you your Nichols Worth. And today from Holman, we have the KJV Wide Margin Bible. This was supposed to have been released about a year ago, but they ran into some issues, so it was delayed, but it is here now, and it is ready for you to take a look at, so let's take a look at it now. First of all, in the King James, they have more of the brown box, but the CSBs have more of a blue box, but these are very nice two-piece boxes. When you open it up, you'll see it'll have this paper protection in there. Obviously, the Bible's not in there. I've already got it out for you to look at. So let's take a look. First of all, this is the CSB wide margin that came out a couple years ago. This one has a really stiff leather. One thing about Holman is each of their goat skins seems to all be a little bit different. I've done a video where I compare several of their different goat skins. I'll put that on the end screen so you can check that out. This single column 36 GSM paper. In the poetic settings, it is in the verse by verse layout with those verses outset away from the text. And then in your regular settings or your reader settings, it's going to have that paragraph format with the red accent verses throughout the text. So how is this one going to be laid out? You see this one has minimal references, only in the New Testament. It does have some textual notes, but when we dive into this, first of all, we see a really nice pebbly grain goat skin. I really like this goat skin. This is probably among my favorites of the ones that they've released as far as thickness and as far as floppiness. Check this out. Really nice little flop there, but stiff enough that it's not like a wet fish. When you get into some of the features, it does have 3 double-sided satin ribbons. Very nice length on these too. It has some nice perimeter stitching. One thing I'd love to see some of the more mass-produced, heirloom quality, premium Bible makers do is add a little accent stitching. I don't think it would cost any more because it's the same amount of work. It would be the same thread, and it would just give it a really nice touch. For example, go ahead and put a little pop of red in there just to give it that extra touch. This animal skin liner, which is a cowhide, looks really nice. Perimeter gilt line looks good. Corners look sharp. Not bad at all on this. Edge line, that's another thing with Holman is each time their edge line looks a little bit different. You'll see that on the video in the end screen as well. So let's go ahead and get into the text. I do not believe this is 36 GSM paper, and let me show you why I don't believe that it is. This is definitely the 36 GSM paper, and when you get into it, you can see a clear difference in the ghosting. Right here, this just seems to have a touch less ghosting. I am guessing this paper is a little bit thinner. It's not super significant because the text is line matched and this is single column. You don't have a whole lot of references and notes in the way, so you're not going to have a whole lot of opportunity for ghosting just in the little spaces like this. So that's just something I thought I'd point out. When you look at the beginning of the books, you can see that they use the same style with the little 4 on the bottom, but this one actually has a little bit more of that traditional, the book of Moses called Deuteronomy, because this is in the King James, so they're going to hold to those King James traditions. Now, what really sets this block apart from this one is that this is in a verse-by-verse format. So you're going to see those red verses all the way down the page in a line inside the text. When you get to the poetic settings, you're going to see the verse numbers are not outset like they are normally in poetry. They're set up exactly the same. So some people may find that a little frustrating because it is a little bit difficult to see where each stanza begins and ends. Don't see the pilcrows even to let you know where it begins and ends. So you just have each song. When you get into the narrative setting, however, you will see the pilcrows every time a new paragraph begins. So whenever there's a new paragraph, you'll see these pilcrows going all the way down. This is a 10.5 point font. King James Bibles, you don't often see them in single column format. So if this is something that you enjoy, then it's definitely a good option for you. It seems that the margin space on this one is just slightly less. And the reason for that is if you look, the width of the columns here are a little bit wider. This one has a bit more words per line than it does in the CSB. So while these two are comparable, there's a lot of differences to them. So when you get into the New Testament, the words of Christ in this one are going to be in red. And I am assuming that is because it's a King James and that's sort of a tradition that they want to keep, because it is not the case when you get to the New Testament in the CSB. The very good news is these red letters seem to be very consistent. So I don't see any variations in the color. I don't see any double imaging or anything like that. All of the verses seem to be that dark crimsony, nice red. And another thing this Bible doesn't have is it does not have, look at the bottom, there are no textual footnotes. There are no cross-references whatsoever. This is strictly a verse-by-verse King James. It does have your page headings to let you know where you are, but it doesn't have your subheadings within your text. So this is a very different layout, and this may be something that you like or you don't like, just depending on your preferences. If you want a straight up King James, and that's all you have is a verse-by-verse text with some margin space for your sermon notes or your teaching notes, or when you go to a class and you want to keep notes, it's going to handle highlighting well, all those different things, but know what you're getting into. Now, one thing I did notice about this one that I figured I would point out is when you look at this, this has a nice even edge here all the way around. You can see how it hugs that text. It looks very nice. In this one, they elected to do a little bit less yap, and you can see that's a tight line right there, but when you get to the top, you can see it goes over that gold line. That text is just slightly off to the top. I'm going to guess it's a one-off, and it's not something that's going to be with every edition, but I have only seen one, so I can't say for sure. But this is a very nice edition, and they did a very good job with the layout and putting it together. The goatskin is beautiful. My only thing is just that slightly offset text. I do hope that that's a one-off with mine. The gilding and the art gilding look nice on this one. This one did have a couple little scratches out of the box, but I'm going to assume also that is just an issue with mine. Black head and tail band. Really nice, dark, beautiful red art gilding. In fact, it is, check out the difference. Because that one has that fuchsia, but this one has a nice, dark, salmon-y color. So, really beautiful. One last little feature, the same that is in every Holman handcrafted. It has those tooled hubs. Nice, deep stamp work on the spine here with the KJV, the Holy Bible, King James Version, and Holman. I feel like they could have left that off just to leave a little blank spot there, but it's not really a big deal. This is also a thick daddy. It is a big one. And when you compare it to the single column CSB, if you have that one, you can see they are pretty much the same size. So this is a bit of a hoss. It's a big Bible, but it's very nice. It gives you a layout that you don't normally see in the King James Version, and it also eliminates the distractions of those footnotes and all those subscripts and everything. You just have the pure text of the Bible. When you get to the back, you are going to have a standard KJV concordance, and you're also going to have your cardstock flat matte finish maps. So there you have it. Keep calm, Jesus on. This is your Nicholsworth.